Hey, do you guys want to hear before I do an intro my genius idea of euthanizing a pet?
Sure.
So, okay, Connor, I'm joking. Okay, I'm not serious.
Okay, okay.
This is like not funny, except my idea was funny.
Okay.
My idea was you just put peanut butter on the end of like an elephant rifle, and then you're good. Like that's all. Like you're set, right?
A nice taste, and you're done.
You can.
Only issue is cleanup.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to the next episode, a new episode of the Creature Crossing podcast. My name is Braden. I'm your host, joined by my lovely co-host Brennick. Hello,
What
Brennick.
up?
How are you today, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Brennick has a new background, and I have a new hat. That is all we're going to talk about. Those two things, right?
That's it.
We are joined by awesome colubrid keeper Connor. Is it Wardle?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
exactly. Thank
Connor
you.
Wardle goes by Naturalist Herps or the Lorax, whichever you prefer. The man with the mustache.
Can't confirm.
Um, you know, it's kind of funny because I'm really bad with names. I always have been. And I get you mixed up with one guy who I can't remember right now because I'm really bad with names. That's just a testament to like how bad with names. But I remember you because you're the guy with the mustache.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So you are. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So, howdy, y'all. I guess my name's Connor. In the North Texas area down here, a little south of Canada there, I guess.
Nice.
Keep a decent amount of snakes, I guess I'd say. Not a crazy collection, about 40, maybe 50 snakes or so here. A couple lizards and stuff, but primarily stuff from the Sonora and Mojave deserts, and then some stuff from Baja that's legally been in the U.S. for a while, and then just a couple odds and ends, But I primarily focus on the Mascophus coach whip snakes, North
That's
American
cool.
species there that I really like, and then some night snakes, the Hypsiglena, and a couple other things that I'm really passionate about. And as far as just me, I guess that's what I do in the herp world. So yeah.
Awesome. That's man. Like the more colubrid guys we have on here, the better. Because holy fuck, do I love talking about them. And like you have such a diverse collection. I sent it to Brennick earlier today, just because you were kind of like a lash. Like you saved us basically. We didn't have a guest today, and we were gonna like. I don't know what the fuck we were gonna do. It's been like 6 months since we've done a solo episode. I would have been like shitting myself, but you saved us. You came from the heavens and said, "Hey, I'll do it tonight." So we appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're in North Texas, right?
Yeah. So like not the panhandle part, but like the kind of, I hate to say it, but we're right next to Dallas. Dallas and Fort Worth are two
Oh,
different things. They're
dude.
very different. If you come to Dallas and enjoy the better side of the Metroplex, Fort Worth is way different. So come check
Okay,
that out.
okay. You've heard it here first. Fuck you, Dallas. Wait, is that the one we don't like?
That's the one we don't like. Yes.
Okay, all right. I get confused sometimes. I just had to make sure I was
No,
fighting
you're
for the
good. You're
right side here.
good.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Anyway, we hate you guys. Um, and then oh fuck, what was I gonna say? I got distracted from my like lust of conflict. And there's a dog barking upstairs. Maybe I will leave that elephant gun bit in. Because all I
Yeah.
can fucking pay attention to is this goddamn dog now.
Not related to the dog at all, but yeah. No.
Yeah, no. I'm just gonna hide the elephant gun bit later in the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, where'd you get your Coach Whip shirt? I gotta ask. That thing's cool.
Fulvius Apparel. If you are not familiar with Justin
Ooh.
Smith and Fulvius Apparel, he's based out of South Carolina. A lot of awesome arachnid and herp related shirts. If you don't have his shirt or one of those shirts, check him out. Get one. Not sponsored, but good dude. I like what he does. So yeah,
Not sponsored yet.
Yeah.
man, I don't know. I'm just a guy.
I
Yeah.
I always wonder like what the laws with like sponsorships are. Like, what if I just say no? We fucking are sponsored. Like, am I gonna get? I'm gonna get in trouble. I'll let you guys know if I get in trouble for that. We are sponsored.
Cornell's world, right now.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I keep trying to get sponsors, and then they keep looking at our episodes, and they go, "No." But that's okay. Did you there's no shade at all if you say no, but did you watch any of our stuff before you came on?
I've been meaning to, and usually, like if I get asked, I try and watch like one or two just so I kind of get a vibe
Yeah.
for it. But just this past like 2 week period, it's been kind of crazy busy, so I haven't had time
Yeah.
for it. I'm sorry.
If it
But
make no, that's fine, man. It's fine. If it makes you feel any better, our vibe has been back and forth. I think we're starting to find our stride, Brennick. What do you think? Our last episode fucking rocked. That was a good episode.
It slapped pretty
That was
hard,
a
yeah.
good episode. But
It was the crack that did that.
it was the crack.
At least on my end.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I was supposed to do some house cleaning when we started. I guess I'll just do it now. If any listeners want to support us, check out the description for a couple links. We got a merch store down there with just a few designs, mostly ones that are custom made by Lily Hamilton, who does a lot of our garter snake art and things like that. She also did all the logos. Aside from that, if you want to support us, comments and subscriptions, all that crap really helps. And then, of course, if you want to financially support us, we have a Patreon. We're not sure what we're doing with it yet, but we're figuring it out. So that's the ways you can support us. And then aside from that, that's it. We're ready to just talk about stuff. So you're how long have you been doing the colubrid thing? Like we talked earlier. I made a joke in our messages about ball pythons because you sent me this awesome diverse list, which has garter snakes in it, by the way. And I was like, where the fuck are the ball pythons? You have a very,
yeah.
very, very, very unique list. And so, like, how does usually I find people will start with something, right? Like, let's say ball pythons. For me, it was corn snakes.
Mhm.
I don't know. Brennick, what did you start with?
Ball pythons.
Ball pythons.
Yep.
And then they find their thing, right? For me, it was natricines. Like I started with
Yeah.
snakes, and then went out there, and then Brennick. I don't know what the hell he's in. What the hell are you into? Boas?
Yeah, that's all my collection basically is now is
Yeah, boas.
boas,
And then
BCC,
Connor,
BCI.
yeah, there's Connor's collection, which is just all fucking over the place. I can't. Usually, you can look at somebody and go, "Oh, these are the animals he's had for a long time." You know what I mean? 'Cause there's
Yeah.
always like this weird list of animals, and then there's like one ball python, and you're like, "That's the 20-year-old snake." But I can't figure it out. So, like, what did you start with, Connor?
Yeah. So it's, I guess you want like I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I took a reptile study. So I grew up in Boy Scouts. That's a big part of my life, and I still give back to that program. Love it. It's awesome. Um, Took a reptile study growing up, in one of those merit badge requirements where I had to either go to the zoo every day for 7 days and take notes on a reptile in its habitat or whatever, see if it sheds or how it's eating or whatever, which is kind of unrealistic because, coming from a zookeeper world a little bit, I did that briefly. The just timing wouldn't work for guests and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm glad I didn't pursue that. But the other alternate requirement for that was own a reptile for a period of 90 days, track its growth, feeding habits, shed cycles, all that, any other remarks you have about the animal or whatnot there. So I started walking into PetSmart with my mom, as most terrible, reptile purchases start. And I picked up a Chinese water dragon because that was the most active little lizard in the little glass display thing that they had. Those things suck. But anyway, I got in the Chinese water dragon. Didn't really do super great. It lived long enough. I mean, longer than the requirement, of course. But it always had struggles, and that was kind of a more advanced species for a starter pet, I would say. I ended up giving that to a science teacher who actually helped me create the reptile study merit badge in middle school. Or not reptile study, sorry. The reptile club in middle school that was super cool. She already had some reptile class pets, and I just ended up giving it to her there. It's been doing okay, but it was not thriving, I would say, in my care. It was a little bit frustrating, from a little kid perspective. Wanted to have something you can hold, but a flighty lizard doesn't really work well with that. So there was that. And then I kept like a couple leopard geckos, growing up with that. And then I got into high school, and one of the I guess in Texas, there's this kind of, I don't know if they do this up there or not, but in middle school, you take like these kind of like tests, kind of figuring out what you want to do for like your career. And then
Oh
they put
yeah.
you in like a STEM type program to kind of take classes through high school to get you closer to your desired career. So I wanted to be a vet, exotics vet, which I'm not now. That's a whole nother story there. But there was a couple like classes that we took in high school, and through those classes you had to be enrolled in 4-H or FFA, which is just kind of like an ag club, I guess. For each town has their own, and one of the requirements for the course was that I had each year I had to have 40 hours of some sort of animal related either internship or you're caring for your show animal or whatnot. I didn't have property, so I couldn't do any show animals or whatnot there. But my dad connected me to a guy affiliated with Boy Scouts, kind of full circle there, who kept and bred snakes. We would do like educational shows and stuff like that. It was really cool. It was all the native Lampreltis, so all your king snakes and milk snakes, and Pantherophis, all your milk snakes and things, or not milk snakes, sorry, rat snakes, excuse me, within the U.S. There. So we would do these educational shows at birthday parties, school events, scout camps too. Just kind of cool there. We breed and sell stuff on the side just to kind of make up for feeder costs. Um, Over the years, I kind of dug down like an ADHD, autism rabbit hole, whatever you want to call it. Caught my first coach up in 2017, and I've been keeping Massacophis ever since. Really, no, it was 2016. Excuse me. So about 10 years now working with Massacophis, and I've kind of just expanded the collection into other things that make my brain kind of spin, and puzzle piece herpetoculture is what I like to think of it. So yeah.
You are you a big experimenter when it comes to your care, your care style? I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I have isn't like, there's not like a care guide for that,
Yeah.
especially not like the night snakes. The first thing I read about coach ups online is there's a reptile magazine article talking about like their captive care, and at the end, like the author's remarks are like, these are generally like, you know, gross, musky, bitey animals. I would highly not recommend. I would really not recommend having them, as in the captive setting. And I'm like, well, f you, I'm gonna figure this out. Sorry to whoever the author is. I don't know. I don't remember his name,
Yeah. No.
but
Fuck you.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I try and set stuff up, not really bioactive, but like naturalistic, to where like how I set them up, like it functions purpose for the snake, but it also functions like ease of access for me. If I need to get to them or whatnot.
Yeah.
It also looks, you know, pleasing to me as well. I don't just, I mean, people keep various different styles, but
Yeah.
I experiment with how I keep stuff, my lighting stuff, my feeding, all that stuff. Varied for items. It's fun, to figure out what works and what doesn't. So
Yeah. That's why I asked is because I'm a big experimenter, and like just with doing the like as you know, Connor, because you reached out to me about it recently, the water snakes and the garter snakes and stuff. There's some care guides out there, but I think a lot of them kind of suck ass. And
mhm.
so I'm trying to figure out ways to do things kind of differently, and so whenever I meet a keeper who does a lot of weird shit like you do, I like to ask stuff like that because I think it's good to get in the mind of. I think it's good to experiment. Like I'm always trying new stuff. Like not well, maybe not one, but like a lot of my scenes are kept differently from each other because I'm actively trying to figure out what I like and don't like.
Yeah, yeah,
Different baby setups, different adult setups, different water feature things. Like water features that I've talked about 100 times on the show are a big no-no for water snakes. I don't believe that really, and so I'm trying to figure out what the key is to doing them in a way that doesn't fuck your snake up. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think I figured it out, but we'll see. But one thing I'll talk about quickly too is you just had a clutch of lyre snakes, did you not? Or is that something
Yeah,
else?
yeah, yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that and what went into that?
Yeah, so I have a group. I've kind of had some issues with lyre snakes over the years. I'm sure you guys have experienced this. You get to like a really good point, where you think you're all lined up and it's going to be awesome, and then just like there's a punch coming from far left, and you just get messed up. So I had a group of I'm going to call it 1.2.1, kind of one that I didn't know whether it was a male or female, which ended up being a female. So I guess 1.3 there, and then those were the Sonoran lyre snakes. There, I've got 1.1, a male and female, for those that don't know what that is. California lyre snakes, the Trimorphodon lyrophanes as well. But they don't really tolerate humidity super well, especially like stagnant air, which I mean most herbs don't, and that's fine. But I went on vacation in January, and the brumation fridge that I had was in the garage, and we got snow, and that was totally, not in the cards really for Texas. We'll get like powder, but like we had like thick ice and snow for like, I don't know, I want to say like 3 or 4 days. Like I was out of the country.
Sucks ass, doesn't it? You were gone.
Yeah.
You didn't even experience it.
Well, I appreciated it because I'm a warm weather person.
Me too.
I got a 24-hour layover in London, so I can't be too mad about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I came back and there were two snakes that didn't. They had some like, it looked like a weird neurological thing going on mixed with a respiratory issue. So it's really, really unfortunate. I lost two of my females from my group. One of them was captive bred, which is always a blow. But I had still had the pair here, and then I got in this male California lyre snake that just wouldn't eat for anything, and it was always like rubbing the glass, kind of surfing, as some snakes kind of do. And I know it's a little treasonous. I'm not a big proponent of hybrids or whatnot there, but just to get him to calm down, I threw him in with my remaining female Sonoran lyre snake. They do have a small integrate zone in the wild. However,
Okay.
for me, I like to keep things locality specific as best as I can, and those localities weren't matching, so I feel weird about it, but it happened. The male California lyre snake's eating great now, so that's awesome.
Nice,
That's
dude.
a win for me.
That's a really intuitive way to figure that issue out that I think a lot of keepers wouldn't clue into. Like
Yeah.
it goes to show how much. I mean, not to suck your dick or anything, but it goes to show how like you can look at the behavior of an animal and say, okay, let's try this out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, like, I try to keep stuff pretty pure too, but some integrades are cool. I like integrades.
Yeah, I mean, if it's naturally occurring, like a desert and a speckled king snake, I'm okay with that, But like, I don't know, as long as you represent it, okay, or truthfully, that's really what I'm more concerned about, Anyway, yeah, no, she laid one egg and then two eggs, and then 2 days passed, and I got concerned, and so I helped her pass the rest of them. She had two slugs, kind of tangled up inside of her, and then a couple eggs behind her. I'm not sure if how many eggs are going to be viable from that. She was a wild caught female, so I don't really know her age. Unfortunately, it's just with the stuff that I keep. A lot of it's not commonly bred, so most of my collection is wild caught, unfortunately. But I'm working, to put that stuff to use and produce some captive bred for others that are nerds like me. In total, she had 8 eggs. And I want to say like 3 or 4 look good, but we're like 3 or 4 days into it, so a lot can happen, So hoping for the best, and it's nice, that she made it through, But I still want to give her her time, and she'll probably have a year off before, even if I mean, I might not even ever try and breed her again. It's always a roll of the dice with live animals, So it's something I just gotta consider.
Yeah. Well, I definitely hope the best for that because that's a really cool, species, lyre snakes. I actually, like I'm pretty. I kind of have a lot of like I'm a little envious of a lot of you guys in the community who are aware basically of like all of the North American species, like because I know most of them. I'd like to think, but like at the same time, like I recently, like within the last 6 months, found out about lyre snakes
Yeah, yeah,
and things like that. And so when I like again, it's I look up to a lot of your guys' collections like that because like fuck, they're just so cool. And I mean, another thing that you got like anyway, I hope that that works out for you because it's cool and it's
yeah,
definitely a species that like fuck man, we gotta figure that out because those are cool snakes. And the name lyre snake is awesome.
yeah.
That's a cool name, and I'm a sucker for cool names.
Cool.
You got a species that I've been thinking about getting into recently, which is the Baird's rat snakes.
Yeah, they're awesome, man.
They're cool as hell.
Yeah, yeah. So Baird's rat snakes, for those not familiar, I guess there's two. I just want to say subspecies of Pantherophis. You get the North American Baird's rat snakes, the Pantherophis bairdi, and then you have the Mexican Bairds, which I'm not sure what their kind of Latin is there, but they've got a cool blue head and kind of like a yellow body, which is neat. They get a really cool ontogenetic color change, so they start off like any other rat snake, kind of gray, drab, saddling there. And then, depending on phenotype or locality, they can express different phenotypes that are varying shades of like a metallic, like a silver gunmetal type vibe. They can be like
Yeah.
super rusty. They can be kind of like red brown. It's really neat. And what I appreciated is about it is there's a lot of it's not a lot, but the people that do breed them tend to have a couple different localities because they're also alterna, the gray band nerds, so they try and do cut matching, which for me locality I try and go as precise as possible, so that's appreciative for me. But what I've got here, I've got a pair of the vivid line beards, rat snakes. Those are out of Loma Alta area out in West Texas. He kind of coined the term metallic Baird's rat snake. That's kind of what he's kind of.
Okay.
I forget that it's not Tim. It's Tim something. I feel like is the guy
Spuckler?
behind Vivid Herbs. Do what?
Oh, it's okay. It's not Spuckler then. Whenever I hear Tim, I think Spuckler.
That's what I
No,
thought.
no. Tim Spuckler's got a great collection. He's got the Valverde
Yeah, he
Bairds
does.
there, which those are pretty as well. But it's subtle differences, like whether you're looking at the eastern end of the range, like San Antonio area, that's more like kind of orange, rusty color, or like the far west, that's more silver there. But I love them; they're great. That was one of the species that really stuck out to me whenever I was working with a mentor back whenever we were doing more of those educational shows I mentioned earlier. They're just super awesome snakes, a little bit musky, but I mean they're not really nippy or anything like that. At least the individuals I've come across, but they're great eaters. They don't really give you too many issues. The goal is to kind of have those, along with a couple other species that I'm working with here that are a little bit more common, to kind of help fund a little bit more of my kind of more difficult projects. So, yeah.
You know what? It's really funny you say that because that was kind like I love the Bairds. You actually posted a picture of Bairds that I've known about them and kind of considered them like on the back burner a little bit. I like Pantherophis,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you posted a picture on July 30th
Mm-hmm.
of a Baird's rat snake, and I commented, "Absolutely killer! I'm a slut for silver and gray." Which I am.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a big fan of silver and gray and snakes. My favorite corn snakes are the Miami corns.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you get that gray in there, like, oh my god, I want
Yeah,
them
yeah.
so bad. But it's funny you say that about the funding thing because with me doing the garters and the waters, and now I'm doing Natrix again, fucking finally, and we're gonna get some Rhabdophis in. We're gonna get
Heck yeah.
more Natrix in. We're getting
Yeah, yeah.
Natrix Tessellata. Fucking finally, Brennick, did I tell you that? I'm getting Natrix Tessellata.
No, you didn't, but that's sick.
My favorite snake in the world. I had one. I had a baby that I got at a pet store called Big Al's. Okay. I don't know how the hell they got this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had I was working for a zoo at a time, and they wanted me to go to an expo to find the mahognos. So I went to the expo and found mahognos. And then the hognose gave me fucking mites. And I was like 16 at the time. And I was like, well, I'm going to try this product I found out about called Prevenamite. Well, the two animals that I killed with it were my Natrix Tessellata and that hognose. So I was fucking devastated because that little Natrix was like a perfect eater, like just doing so good and growing so well, and he was so cool. And so I've been looking for 10 years now. I was 16 when that happened. So I've been
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
for one for 10 years, and I haven't been able to find one. And then finally, the guy who I got my Natrix Mora from, he was just like, "Well, I'll just catch you some, and I'll send them in ham." So I was
Yeah,
like, "Where have you been all my life?" So he's sending me a couple pairs there, and I'm like
that's
very
awesome.
excited to have those snakes. They're very cool. Have you seen Natrix Tessellata before, Connor?
Tessalata, I really do like Natrix Mara as well.
Yeah, or those
Those are
guys. They're
awesome
cool.
snakes.
Yeah.
And then there's that one species that Ashley posted that is like from like a island with salt
Oh,
water.
Milos Island. Yeah.
Yeah,
Milos
yeah. No,
Island.
I've
Those
been
are
really
cool.
digging those and googling those a lot, trying to get more
Very
info on
cool.
those, along with
Very,
a
very
couple
cool.
others. But yeah,
They're a weird one. They're like they'll eat lizards and shit in the wild. Like they're a weird. I mean,
yeah,
to
yeah,
be fair, like I say that, but like whenever I hear about a natricine in general eating anything, I'm like, fuck, who gives a shit? Because like
yeah.
it's
If it
one of the
moves,
coolest things about them, but they will fucking eat anything. There was a one posted, we talked about it during the show, of a in BC of a garter snake eating a fucking starfish. Like, like what? They'll just eat
whack.
anything. Yeah, like will eat literally anything. But yeah, the Natrix are cool, dude. You guys don't have a lot of. We have more Natrix in Canada than you guys have in the States, for sure.
Uh
You guys might have some Tessellata down there, but like, and I think you got one guy with Mora.
oh, my bad. Yeah, cool. Yes, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Am
I
I
was
right or am
like
I not?
Thamnophis species. I think we got in Steraria. I think we catch
Oh,
beat, but
Natricine. No, 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 no.
yeah,
Yeah, you.
yeah, my bad, my
The
bad.
only
Yeah,
place, the only place that would have you guys beat for
probably Mexico.
Natricines would be Mexico for sure, and Asia probably for Natricines. But if you're talking about on this side of the planet, probably just
I got you.
Mexico.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mexico's insane. But yeah, for Natrix, like in captivity,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think. But most of your guys' Natrix came from the when ours came in too. So like the Natrix Tessellata that you, or sorry, not Tessellata, Mora that you guys have in the States are siblings to mine
Yeah.
from the same guy. So that's pretty cool. But dude, like if you like Natrix Mara, like give me a few years, I'll send you some.
I I shouldn't. That they
We'll see in a few years. Okay, we'll see in a
Okay.
few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see how you're feeling then. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they are cool, and they're so funny. Like, cause I won't talk about natural scenes too much because I always abuse the shit out of that. But like, they're so funny because they're really similar to hognoses, how they bluff strike. Like they're very very noisy,
Yeah.
much noisier than garters and waters and stuff.
Hmm.
So like it's whenever you're handling them, they're always like at you
Yeah. Yeah.
constantly. It's super cool. But yeah, I'm excited to have more of those guys because I think North America needs more Natrix.
Yeah. And the Mara remind me. They're a little similar to the Brazos water snakes that we have here, as far as like their phenotype.
Mm,
They kind of look similar. And one thing that I really dig is like convergent evolution. You know, species
yeah,
that I can't keep here. I can find something in Africa or Europe or whatever that's somewhat similar. Which we'll probably get into that later. But it's neat. So yeah,
yeah. No, I agree. And you know what my obsession is with the Natricines specifically is if you look at that family, for the most part, there's a couple outliers, but if you look at that subfamily, sorry, that subfamily of snakes,
uh-huh.
they are so basal. They're so incredibly similar to one another, no matter where you catch one. If you find me a Steraria, if you find me a garter snake here, or if you go all the way to Asia and find me Rhabdophis, it looks
Yeah, yeah.
like a garter snake. They're so fucking similar, and that's what I like about them. But Pantherophis is another one I like. Pituophis is one that, like, if I could pay the bills with Pituophis, I probably would. But they just get too goddamn big. Like, I
They're
have
messy
one, and I'm
too.
like,
That's why
fucking hell.
I
Yeah,
won't do those again, man. Yeah, no, those are
I'm
tough.
I'm really lucky with my one where he only shits in his water dish. So
Yeah,
like very minimal cleanup, just use water and I'm good. But I got to get to the water first. He's not friendly. But
I find the water dish poops are the worst.
they
because it
suck,
like
but like
it's marinades. Like it really.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if I don't get to it, like if I'm like at work and he does it in the morning, by the time I get home, I'll be upstairs. I'm like, oh,
Woof.
fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I know what that is. But yeah, Brennick, any questions before I keep yapping? I think this guy's so fucking awesome. Sorry, Connor. I think your collection's awesome, dude. So I have so much shit I want to ask you, and it's
Thank you.
intimidating to see
Thank
your
you.
species list because I joked about you like, let's cover all of them in 2 hours. No fucking way, dude. Like, there's no way. We can't even.
Yeah, if you want to focus on like a group of snakes, we can do that or whatever. Or, I don't know, but
I saw Borneo earless monitors on the list, and
yeah, yeah,
I like varanids, so
Guy, guy
yeah.
fucking
So
loves
I've got
Borneo
one.
monitors.
I've got one here, unsexed for now. You know, they kind of have to grow into it, and then even then, whenever you have adults side by side, it can be kind of tough looking at their little pit bull jowls things they have going on.
yeah.
But that's always been, you know, like there's like 3 or 4 species that I could think of that are like, man, I remember seeing that on like Reptiles magazine
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
whenever I was a kid. You know, like that, like incredible animal. There's no way I'm ever gonna have that. You know, and I made it happen. That's awesome. So the story on that, I'm kind of like an old school dude in a young guy's body. I guess I go through fauna classifieds, king snake, the European terroristic website, and morph market. I guess basically every day whenever I wake up, just looking for rare niche things that are up my alley. That's how I get a lot of this stuff, just by being the
Yeah.
first one to see it. Um,
I
and
didn't mean
anyway,
to cut you off, Connor. Sorry, just to interrupt you really quick. I
yeah,
just
yeah.
want to mention quick that I do that as well, but only because you mentioned it in another podcast. So I
Oh,
took
cool.
that from you because you had mentioned going through like fauna and king snake and
Yeah,
especially the European ones. I was like, oh, that's cool. So that was like I listened to maybe it was Reptile Rejects or maybe it was might have been DeStefano's podcast or something like that. And so I listened to that and then yeah. Anyway, long story short, I started to do the same thing.
yeah. Don't sleep on fauna. Fauna is very much alive still. You know, it's not as great with the pop up ads, but there's definitely a lot of stuff you can still find there. From the old school people that are disconnected from Facebook, Instagram, all that. So that's still a good resource there.
These are the
But
guys. 100%
do
those
what?
are the guys you want.
What's up?
Oh, I was just saying 100% those are the guys you want to buy from.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, the old school guys that know what's up. But just for fun, I have like keywords that I search on fauna there, and just one day I got a wild hair and was like, hey, let's look up Lanthanotus, and I found this guy. He's either I think he's a retired dentist now, but he lives in my hometown here. Super awesome, great dude.
Wow, nice.
And I sent him a text because he had his phone number attached to the post. I was like, hey man, love what you're doing. I love seeing your posts. The fact that you're able to breed Panthanotus, is insane. To me, at least at the time, they seem to be somewhat, pretty straightforward. I guess once you kind of dial in a couple parameters. But is there any way that I can? Feel free to say no. I'm just some random dude from the internet. I would love to eventually one day own this species. Can you kind of give me some advice? Maybe I can mentor with you or something. And if you're willing to share photos, or I can, pop in, since we're local, and kind of see how you do things. And he's like, man, these lizards are super easy, really. Once you understand a couple, specific parameters there. Come swing by the house, come check it out, and then we can talk about, getting you one down the road. So that was cool. They there's different styles of keeping for everybody. They seem in the breeding situation to do best in simpler setups versus bioactive, which I've kind of seen a couple people that will start them off bioactive and then they don't get breeding because there's really what it is the females have an easier time hiding from the males, which for non-reptile people, I'm sure that sounds terrible, but that's just how it is breeding reptiles sometimes. And so they'll keep them for like 2 years, don't get anything, and they'll not flip them, but put them up for grabs or selling them or whatever
Yeah.
there. So I saw his kind of more simple, kind of essentially like Sterilite tub setups, gasketed tubs, put them in like maybe an inch of reverse osmosis water, a couple almond leaves because they need to have that proper, I guess, pH balance in the water to prevent any weird kind of scale abnormalities or growth through things. Sometimes you'll see, if you're in the Lanthanotus Facebook group, the Borneo Earless Monitor group, you'll notice a couple people that post about like, what are these like white spots around their eyes and their nose? And essentially these lizards, like they kind of stand. Have you ever seen like a video of a lizard kind of doing push-ups or whatnot? They're just like, their back legs are kind of not like loose or whatever, but they're not really using their back legs, but they're pushed up on their front legs, and they just have their eyes and nose over the water, just in ambush constantly there. And that's just like mineralization from like hard tap water on their nose and eyes. It kind of limits their vision, and then some of their breathing can get messed up, I guess, if it gets too severe there. So that reverse osmosis water seems to be the key there. And then just a heat pad with a thermostat on that. Always use a thermostat. You guys should know that, but whatever for anybody else listening. Water temp that seems to work the best is like 83 degrees while they're young, keeping them in basically water with like a hide in the water. I'm just using like a terracotta, broken piece of terracotta pot. I've got a brick in there for like some sort of land, but it seems to just stay in the water. In the breeding stage, he just puts a tub of sphagnum in there, and that's literally it,
Huh.
And that's he breeds them twice a year, every year, and he gets like 9 to 10 eggs, a clutch, and he's doing really well. I would say,
100%.
not a bad retirement.
Yeah.
Is there any filtration on it? Like, do you use a sump or a hand?
No, so I just like, they are kind of messier, I would say, not as bad as Nerodia, but I probably change their water, every 2 or 3 days, just kind of stagnant, or not stagnant, I guess, but just, no filtration. I guess they seem to do fine there. I'm not seeing any weird growths or fungal issues or anything like that, and solid diet of earthworms, even into adulthood.
Ugh.
He exclusively feeds earthworms, no supplements, nothing. The breeder was like really cool and gave me all the paperwork, to prove like not that just my animals were legal, but like the import paperwork, all this stuff. He's got all this like photocopied and gave me a big packet there, and to even prove that they are like true captive bred. This is the egg it hatched out of.
Oh, no way.
There, yeah. No, so he saves that and sends it with all of his, animals there. So if this is something, one day you want, I can shoot you his info. Super cool, under the radar keeper, but the calcium, the egg, is, from what I can tell, seems just fine without any multivitamins or anything like that. No lighting, they're nocturnal, and no issues, for several years. So it's kind of unique, kind of interesting, and they don't seem, once they're here, they don't seem as difficult as people make them out to be, really. They just have that kind of heftier price tag behind them. So
yeah,
the goal is, so I spent a decent amount of my tax return on that animal there. So the goal is, every year for the next like 3 or 4 years, I'm going to get one animal from him, raise those up. I'd like to keep a pair here, maybe 1.2, or even if it works out to be 2.1, 2.2, that'd be incredible. That's usually not how it works, so keep maybe a pair here if I'm lucky. And then the other animals can, I don't know what I'd do. Maybe send them back to that guy to breed, and maybe do like a breed loan situation or something. But that's the goal there. It's in the developing stages of things for sure, but they're awesome.
Do you handle them much?
No, pretty much hands off. So I only pick him up to put him into a deli cup to change the water. So since he just messes the thing up, I feed first, and then I'll pull him out after like an hour to kind of let that food kind of settle.
Yep.
Put him in the deli cup, and then I change the water.
Okay.
There, just because he's eating earthworms and like portions of earthworms, and then that kind of gets bloody in the water and all sorts of stuff. So it doesn't make sense to clean the water and then do that. I have been like nipped by him. Like whenever I first got him, I tried to take a couple in-hand shots, and he was just like kind of corkscrewing, getting weird. He got in my hands, and that sucker's fast. Pretty insane. Like they kind of just sit there in the water. You don't really think much, about it, but they are pretty quick. They can get up and go. And there's some word about some sort of potential, like kind of like garter snakes, how they'll have like that kind of saliva, that is an anticoagulant. There's some thoughts that these guys might have that as well. I haven't seen anything published really about that, so it's just kind of speculation right now.
Yeah.
But just another thing to kind of keep in mind whenever I'm, moving that guy around. Once he gets some size, everybody kind of reacts to stuff differently, and I try to keep myself away from danger as much as possible. So
That's what I was kind of
Yeah.
wondering about them, because I see pictures of them just like sitting in puddles,
yeah,
never moving. So I'm like, are they like a normal variant where they like get up and go when they see food and get really motivated, or are they just kind of like mossing all the time?
So whenever I feed him, I mean, he can kind of like feel the water currents, but I wouldn't say that he's like, actively pursuing the worm, which that might just be on me, because the breeder was saying, hey, just drop feed and set it right in front of his mouth, and he'll get it, which he does, I do have, I don't know if you guys have these up in Canada yet, but you can get them at Home Depot. It's a little camera. The brand I use is Wise, WYZE.
Oh yeah, we got
Yep.
Wise.
And I've got that camera on him. And I have seen him, while I was on vacation, I was really just hyperfixated on him, and then a couple other kind of more difficult to find species, so I had cameras on all those guys, making sure they're settling in well and doing okay, but he was kind of a little more active at night than I would have expected, but I mean, they are nocturnal, so it makes sense, he'll swim around a little bit, stuff like that, but for the most part during the day, whenever I'm, out and about, he tends to just kind of hang out like that, kind of a stone figure, I guess.
Yep.
And then whenever I get back, I'm a restaurant server, so whenever I get back late at night, sometimes I'll see him wiggle around, but he's quick to go back to his hide, just kind of hang out there. But still a dope lizard, something that I like to show people when they get here, and check out the collection, but just kind of a neat little prehistoric looking thing, So
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Studies show they have venom glands. So, looks like there was a study in 2010 that found functional and structural diversification of the Anguimorpha lizard venom system, which included the Borneo earless monitor. So they have little venom glands. Isn't that cute?
yeah.
I can't say I'm
They-
surprised.
Whenever I did get nipped by this little guy, it was like, I don't know if you guys have been bit by like an alligator lizard or not, Algaria or whatnot, but it was significant. It definitely was a noticeable
I heard
pinch,
that before.
So
Yeah, I've heard that
yeah.
they kind of bite pretty goddamn hard. Same with the Shinosaurus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they don't fuck around.
Yeah, no, they're on it.
Little aquatic lizards. I mean, I guess it makes sense because you got to bite on like you got to assume they're eating little minnows too, right? Like that go by their face.
Like minnows, freshwater
Hold
shrimp,
on.
all sorts of stuff,
Probably got to hold on pretty good. At least I would think. By the way, if it seems like I'm distracted, it's just because sometimes I'll look stuff up while we're talking. It's because I'm unprofessional. That's the only thing.
You're good. You're chilling.
And,
We're learning.
And if it seems like I'm bored, I'm not. I didn't have my nap, and I'm drinking beer.
Cool.
Okay? Just so you know. I have this terrible habit where I'll, yawn during episodes, and I'm so embarrassed by it. And I do it every episode. And I'm not fucking bored. I swear to God, I'm not bored. I thought that was really cool. I learned more about Borneo earless monitors in the last 5 minutes than I had. Well, basically, since I listened to your other podcast episodes where you talked a little bit about them. So there you go. You teach me a lot, man. Appreciate it.
And I mean, I'm not anything special, I just have the one that's a young animal born last year, 2025. Still a lot of growth and learning on my end, of things. So what I say is not it, Yeah.
But you are a doctor in herpetology, right?
You can tell by
Nah. I've worked on the private and professional side of things, both sides, and I'm just a guy. Nobody's a pro. I don't think. I mean, we're all figuring stuff out. And if you're not, then you're self-proclaimed, then you're not.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
soon
you
as you
say you're a
stop
pro, you're a
learning,
fucking liar.
Yeah.
as
I'm
soon,
just a
as soon
guy.
as you, as soon as you stop learning, we got a problem.
For sure, man.
How was this has nothing to do with anyone we've been talking to. How was your guest spot on colubrid corruption? I only asked because I'm going on colubrid corruption.
That's great.
I got invited on. Isn't that
It's great.
awesome?
It's cool. We talked like it always circles back. So like, if I get asked to go on a podcast, I'm like, hey, if you have some like highlights or like really things that you want to focus on, just like let me know so I can like seem somewhat prepared. Going into it. I'm not just like a guy being a dude. When I have some like stuff that people can write down and learn and utilize in the future, and stuff or refer back to. The main focus or the main thing that Joe wanted to talk about was the eastern tiger snakes that I have, the Telescopus semiannulata, which, I'm still new to learning those, so I didn't have a lot of notes for that, but we, as always, circle into the racers and coach whips, and kind of what I'm doing with that. And then, touched on a couple other things, you got to listen to find out, I guess. But I really like his passion. I like what he's doing. He's neat dude. I love Texas rat snakes, and I think he's going to be a good like. This isn't the right word, I guess. Not like. I guess kind of like mentor or someone to look up to. I guess in our generation ish.
Yeah.
Like you've got like.
For sure.
I'm not trying to inflate his ego or whatever, but I like what he's doing. I think he's on the right track, and I think there's some good stuff coming from him. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he wants to, I assume he wants to have me on for garter snakes. If he wants to talk about garter snakes, he must be doing something right?
Oh, show. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I'm glad I remembered that because I'm supposed to send him pictures.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
to do that. So I'll send those tonight. But yeah, man. Hey, are you a fisherman or no?
I fished before. I wouldn't say I'm particularly great. I can go out and hang out on the. I can hang out on the lake side and drink a beer. I think that's part of fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did like the only time that I've like really focused on fishing. I did a canoe trek in the boundary waters between U.S. and Canada. For like 8 days. It was awesome. We had like packs of tuna, or we could catch our own fish and like supplement that into our meals and stuff. We caught a lot of bass. We were in the Atatokan area. I hooked a trout.
Beautiful.
It snapped the line, unfortunately.
Oh no.
And then a buddy of mine caught a really cool, like a larger pike. It was kind of neat to see, But outside of that, I've tried fly fishing a handful of times, and
Oh, cool.
it's once you get into the zone, it's therapeutic, But it's always frustrating, figuring it out again, Yeah. So no, I probably do a little bit more herping than fishing. I'd say, I probably fish like once or maybe twice a year, But
Okay. You want to talk a little bit about herping? I'll start. I'm like really bad at it.
okay,
Yeah. So
cool.
I used to herp a lot when I was down south,
Mhm.
and it was mostly with my friend Anthony. And he's like, I think he's one of the best herpers in the world. Like I'm dead serious. But he's very quiet. Nobody knows about him because he's like very private.
Yeah.
Like I've said this in other episodes. I think I said this in Ashley's episode. I'm one of the only people in herpetoculture who knows what the guy looks like.
Cool.
And he's awesome. He was another guy, kind of like what you were saying, Connor, where
Mhm.
it turned out that when I got into garter snakes and I was kind of getting, I don't know, like what the right word is. People would kind of know that that's what I did. Like
Yeah.
they'd
Yeah.
say, oh, that Braden guy, he does garter snakes. The
Mhm.
other one was Anthony. Anthony lived 10 minutes from my house, and it was just
Oh, nice.
happenstance, right?
Yeah.
So we started herping together and stuff, right? And anyway, he helped me out by showing me some really crazy spots. And then I moved up north. I moved about 10 hours north about 5 years ago. And I to be fair, I only have one species of herp up here, if you don't include amphibians.
Yeah.
And it's a garter snake, and I'm pretty good at finding garter snakes until I moved up here because they start breaking the rules when you get this far north. Like, you're not supposed to find them in like super acidic forests, right? Like with a lot of pine needles on the ground and stuff. Up here they say fuck you. Like, I'll go wherever the hell I want, and then that's where I have to go to find it. It's weird, but what's your so you herp a lot or what?
I'd say I get a decent amount of time. I've got some kind of local areas around me that are solid. As far as like bigger trips that I've done or continue to do, I really liked San Diego or east of San Diego, like the Borrego Springs, Ocotillo area was otherworldly from a flatland Texas guy. Big granite boulder piles and just really awesome views and just really special herps too. I love Brownsville. So Brownsville is the most southern city in the state of Texas, and there's a portion of the city on the other side of the border wall, almost like you can throw a rock into Mexico, which is really cool. Kind of Jurassic Parky vibes down there. Big, like the Texas indigo snakes are incredible down there. I love the Ruthven's whip snakes. I don't know if you guys have seen those. The Mascophis shoddy Ruthveni. They're incredible. Really cool snakes. A lot of milk snakes down there. Of course, speckled racers, just awesome habitat. The fall is really neat because it's like Texas indigo breeding season, which is really neat. And you can still see some speckled racer activity. Then I haven't seen one yet. But that's an area of Texas that I'm really going to be spending a lot more time in. Probably 2, maybe 3 trips a year. I'm excited to kind of pursue that more and develop my own spots out there and all that. And then kind of that going back to Boy Scouts, there's a couple scout camps here locally that I herp, which is really neat. There's all the tents that we use for summer camps and things. They set up on these big pallets. They're like, the pallets each are like 4 feet wide by like 6 foot long. And then you need 2 of those pallets together to set your canvas tent on for the summer camp setting. And so during summer camp, there's all this cover all over the property because people are tenting in there and stuff and not really paying attention to the rodents and snakes that go underneath there, And so it's always fun laying out that cover and then picking it back up in like 6 or 7 weeks or whatever. But also during the okay. But also like during the off season when summer camp's not going on, like they're stacked in these giant stacks, and it creates like a temperature and humidity gradient. So like you can go through and move these pallets, with 2 or 3 buddies, because you don't want to kill your back, and just the amount of diversity you can see in one stack is just insane. It's wild. Like, I mean, Texas coral snakes all over the place, Western diamondback rattlesnakes, coach whips, all sorts of. It's so much fun, But that's west of me. If you're familiar with the, I guess you guys may or may not have seen leucistic Texas rat snakes before. Pretty common. I guess that locality that they came from is like 20 minutes east of where I regularly herp. So I'd really like to get like more of those like Texas rat snakes that maybe not a carrier for the gene, but they're healthy and not inbred. Maybe put that specific locality back into the morph. I think that could do well for the longevity. Like if you've seen palmetto corn snakes, some of those are bug-eyed, some of them aren't. And I think that's something that's worthwhile. A worthwhile pursuit. With all that. But yeah. Anyway, so not like a crazy awesome herper or anything, but I try and take notes whenever I'm out. I'll carry like a little temp gun, and take notes as far as like, hey, I found this snake in this kind of setting, and try and apply that to the next time that I go out, and all that. Cruised the life of prairie king snake, which is really cool recently. And then in that same kind of area, I find a lot of those Brazos water snakes that are, I guess, they're an endemic in Texas and a little bit more rare on things, I guess, but it's kind of neat to have some of those kind of cruising and significant species kind of nearby, so
Yeah.
it's exciting.
I miss herping water snakes. I don't have them up where I'm at.
Yeah. Come to Texas.
Hey, when I come to Texas, can I go herping with you?
Yeah, man. We got a guest bedroom and not too far.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
man.
I'll wait a little bit. I'm a little scared of getting fucking flayed over there right now. But
Yeah, no, it's triple digits, I guess, the last couple of days. So
yeah.
it's not great.
Triple digits. Jesus Christ. My work has been triple digits. You want to hear how hot my work was the other day?
Sure.
I'll tell you in Celsius first, Brennick, 60. It's like 140 Fahrenheit. I don't even think that's legal. I don't even think I'm allowed to work in that.
That's
60
ridiculous.
Celsius. Isn't that insane? Let me look it up quick. 60 C and F. 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's insane.
That can't be allowed, right? You know how much
Yeah, no,
water I have to drink to survive that?
That's tough.
As a little Canadian boy. So, I'm a southern Canadian boy, though. It's pretty warm in the south, eh, Brennick?
Yeah, I mean, it was 43 a couple weeks ago,
Fucking Christ, that's hot.
but
43.
I was still wearing a coat.
In what? That's 109.4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Damn.
Ugh, God, I like the heat. I'm a heat lover, but once it gets past like 105, I'm like, all right, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, I can
I'm
handle
surprised
30,
you don't wear a
30 so.
coat in the heat. Your sleeve is like super nice compared to mine.
Well, I wear like a sleeve, but I don't wear like I wear sunscreen on my tattoo.
Yeah, I throw a coat over it.
Honestly, dude, it's less to preserve it, and it's more because the sun hurts.
Yeah.
Because they're so fucking black, like it burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got on my knuckles the worst. Like right
Yeah, it
here.
hurts, eh?
It's like, oh.
You got any tattoos, Connor? You don't have any tattoos. You don't need them.
It's got this.
Not yet. I've got one tattoo in mind. It's pretty simple. I just I don't know anybody like that, and that's like a permanent thing going on my body. So I want to have trust in the person that does it for me.
That's fair.
But
that's fair.
You're in Texas. Do me a favor.
What's up?
When you decide to get a tattoo, get it done by Matt Honeycutt. He's the vocalist of the band Kublai Khan TX, and he tattoos out of Texas. I think Fort Worth.
I think I've heard of that guy, and I used to live. I think he's in North Fort Worth, and I used to live up there. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. No, I'll try and get on his list or something. Yeah, sure.
Oh, he is good. He is good.
He's got nice work. That's why I say it. Not because the band is sick. The band is sick, but his tattoos speak for themselves.
Nice.
Anyway, do you want to share your tattoo idea, or is it a little personal?
It's just the brand of that scout camp that I kind of talked about. It's called Worth Ranch. Just a W that connects to an R, and then a little arch over top of it, I guess. I spent a lot of my time out there growing up. My dad spent a lot of time growing up out there. I'm on the maintenance committee out there, and it's just I don't want to say home away from home. It's more like a home for me, than anything. And it's just a really sentimental space, and I don't know. That's that, I guess. But
I did Scouts briefly. I never got to Eagle Scouts, but I did Cub Scouts.
Cool.
And I can't remember why I stopped. I don't remember. I remember this
Life
one
happens,
camping trip. This one camping trip we did. It was in, I don't fucking know, spring or something. We did a Bigfoot hunt. Or no, it was a dragon hunt. It was a medieval themed camping trip we did. And so this kid dressed up as like a camp counselor. He was probably, what are most of them? Like 17, 18 years old? 16 maybe? He was like,
I mean, it kind of varies, but yeah, sure.
He was a young guy.
Yeah.
And he dressed up as a dragon, and the idea was we had to hunt down the dragon, right?
Yeah.
So we are running after him in this big fucking field on this camp, and wherever we're camping, because there was a camping house too that we rented out, I guess. And he tripped on something like a rock or something, and we beat the fuck out of him. We we beat the shit out of him. We pulled his fucking mask off, like his dragon mask, and kicked it around. And we beat his ass with sticks and stuff and rocks. Well, we were trying to kill the dragon, right? So I didn't.
That's
take
awesome.
It. I didn't use a weapon. I just kicked the crap out of the kid, and we got in trouble for that. We got a little carried away. But did you do a lot of that when you were starting out in camp scouts, kicking the crap?
Maybe
out
not
of
like
gamblers?
kidding the crap out of somebody. You know, there's a couple like, you know, you're like a 11-year-old, you know, and you get a disagreement with your buddy, and then you end up like,
Oh yeah.
not like curb stomping him, but like you know, you get a little physical altercation, you know, and
Yeah.
you work it out. Just guys being dudes, you know. Definitely have grown since then, you know.
Now you're the dragon.
Now I'm the dragon, I guess. Yeah, come catch this mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah.
I'm looking at this this Matt Honeycutt guy's page, and one of the first tattoos here is a guy with a mustache. Kind of looks like you.
Oh, cool.
He has a hat on that says "Raise Hell." That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, probably lift the
I'm,
truck and you know.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You should get like, you know what you should get? You should get the tattoo of that egg you showed us. You should get that tattooed on you.
Right here.
Yeah.
On your throat.
Right on the neck.
on my throat, right in the Adam's apple. Yeah, yeah.
Crusty
Exactly.
little fucking egg. Everybody's gonna be like, what the hell is that?
What is
Is it like a
that?
birthmark or something? You're gonna be like, that's my Borneo earless monitor's egg. And
You
then,
would-
Yeah, dog. You don't even get it, bro. You know.
and then all of a sudden, the mustache loses its allure because everybody's like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
It's a
I don't
Borneo
know.
earless monitor.
When people talk to me, reptiles tend to come up, and that kind of loses people's interest, I guess. But they're just haters.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Facts.
I don't know. You always like. I'm sure you guys do the same thing. Like somehow, like you're just like talking to people, and then you do like circles to that. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
No, you're
Yeah,
right.
I
I,
get-
would say so for sure. And it's tough with the podcast too because, like, I mean, ask Brennick. Like, like my interests are so specific, and I just want to talk about my interests, right? Like, so I got to fight to not be like talk about water snakes with you and stuff. It's like nobody wants to hear that shit. That's not true, but like, you know what I mean, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear it. We've done this is our like 17th episode. You'll be our 17th, I think, something like that. I have mentioned garter snakes in every single episode, right, Brennick? Every single one. There's not
Yeah.
one that I have not mentioned garter snakes in.
In the Pike episode, I think you mentioned garter
No,
snakes.
yes, I did. Yeah. And the only one I didn't mention garter snakes in was Jared, the mosasaur guy, and he brought garter snakes up. So then I like gave him shit, and then I started talking about garter snakes. But are you one of those guys when you're herping where when you find a garter snake you're like pissed off?
no, I would say like I just appreciate like I don't really have targets whenever I go out. I mean, yes, I've got like an idea of like, hey, it'd be really cool to see this one snake, you know, but like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, I'm gonna stop and you know pick up this blind snake or this DK snake or whatever, you know. And
I love
If it-
DKs.
yeah, they're awesome captives. I mean, even in the wild setting, they're great too.
Mm.
But like if I'm flipping, you know, and there's like a possum or there's like a bunch of mice or whatever, I'm like, oh, it's cool, you know, like there's evidence of you know life and potential food sources, you know.
Yeah.
So that's cool. The only snake that I really not that I don't enjoy seeing it, you know, but like, I don't know, man. There's something about like a plain bellied water snake, you know, they just like musk like there's no tomorrow, you know, and they're just like, gah, you know, slamming you with the nips, you know, and all that. But,
You wanna hear something funny about that?
what's that?
So you're talking about Nerodia erythrogaster.
Yep.
Okay? Right, as you know. And I have a few. Very recently, I recently got them. And I got mine are produced by Chris. Okay, Chris Montross
Yep.
of Dark Horse Herpetoculture, who we know, but in case anybody who's listening doesn't know, he's like the biggest water snake guy right now for sure. And he goes on record all the time saying like erythrogaster are like one of the best water snakes for captivity because they tame down really well and whatever, and they get big, right? And I posted my Erythrogaster in I think it was like Canada Reptiles, a Facebook group or something. What the hell is his name? Do you know Neil Balchin, Balchan?
It doesn't really register anything with me, but I'm sure I could look him
You
up.
have a friend. You're friends with him on Facebook.
Okay.
Anyway, this guy, I don't know him very well either, but I like this guy. I think he's really cool. I messaged him when I was in Manitoba because he's from Manitoba, and I was kind of like, dude, like I know you're around here. Like, where the fuck are the plains garter snakes? And I was kind of trying. They were like out on some sort of like university herping trip or something, and I was kind of trying to like be like, hey, like, let me in on this shit, right? And he was like,
Yeah, yeah.
no. Which is fair. But he filled me in with a ton of tips and spots and stuff, like way more than he needed to do. I found my radix. Okay, I found my plains garter snake.
Nice.
And him and I have been talking since. He gave me his phone number, so he must not hate me. And I posted those plain belly water or yellow belly water snakes, whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
Erythrogaster. And he messaged me, and he was like, something along the lines of like Erythrogaster ? And I was like, yeah, do you like them? And he was like, they're like the garbage of garbage water snakes. And just like totally shit on me. And he was like, the only ones that are worse than those are Rhombifer. I fucking love Rhombifer. I've got like Rhombifer will probably be the next ones I produce.
Yeah.
I love Rhombifer, and and it hurt my feelings.
On the captive side of things, Rhombifer definitely were not really easier, but they were less annoying for me than Erythrogaster.
Oh, really?
I would say, yeah, and
They're good.
Yeah, you got to get some of the. I'm sure Chris still works for them, but I forget the parish they come out of with those orange ones.
The orange ones. Oh,
I had some fresh wild caught ones from the guy that sent Chris his, and they're something different, man. They're cool.
Yeah, we talked about those briefly.
Yeah, it's been years, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on my list. I don't know what Chris is doing with them. I honestly forgot he even had Rhombifer, or I didn't even know he had Rhombifer until he posted them, or maybe I was like looking through old posts and I saw one that he had posted. Yeah. As soon as someone produces those orange Rhombifer, I'm gonna like get in on that because I don't know what locality mine are, so I don't call them a locality, obviously, but like. I've got a tiny little male who I'm waiting to grow up for my two monster females. And one of my females is really dark and one of them is really light, like green. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
My dark female, I wouldn't even call her green. She's so dark. But they're really good. They're food responsive as hell. But once they're out, they're like a corn snake. They just chill out. And my Erythrogaster, I like that too. But Chris produced them, so who knows?
Yeah.
If it's like maybe a locality thing too, right? Like you never know. They're all different, right?
I'm sure they calm down, but just
yeah,
I can't get over Erythrogaster. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I get it all with water snakes in general. Like people hate water snakes, man. I don't know, like they really hate them. Let's stop talking about water snakes. No more water snakes. Let's see what we got here. So I'm gonna take a look at your list of species that you sent me, Connor.
Yep.
Oh my god, I forgot how long it was.
While you're looking,
yeah, go ahead, man.
Let's talk about your YouTube channel. I wanted to hear more about that.
Oh, thank you. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I've got a small YouTube channel. I don't like regularly post, but I feel like what I do post when I do post is I might be overhyping it, but I feel like it's pretty good info out there. What I do whenever I post it's mostly species care or species spotlights. What am I keeping? If there's a particular interest, somebody messages me, say, hey, can you put some more info out there on this species? I'll go to YouTube and do that. But basically what I do is I talk about like, hey, these are things that I've observed like on a naturalist. This is the general habitat that I tend to see it in. This is kind of the window that seems to be a little bit more active in the field. And the kind of specific eco region, that it's from and stuff like that. This is kind of what I've read as far as like, documented, like people go out and they get specimens and they bring them into the museum setting and, They're looking at the stomach contents. This is what it seems to eat in the wild. This is what, from either my experience or people that do produce them, what they tend to eat in captivity and do okay on. Not everything's okay on rodents, so you got to kind of show that. And if they don't eat rodents, what am I feeding them? How am I getting that feeder source where other people can, if they have an interest in the species, where can they source that? And then I kind of briefly talk about, like my general captive care keeping here, whether it's, particular questions about substrate, humidity, lighting, temperature, stuff like that, and just the regularity of feeding, because not all my snakes have the same metabolism cycles. So I try and be as open and share as much knowledge that I have that I can about those species, especially stuff like I've got a shovel nose video. I kept shovel nose for like 2 or 3 years. They were great, never produced them, but I wanted to get the information that I had in my experience out there with people that had an interest in that species. And I love that Bree is doing what she's doing up there with them, among a couple other folks, that are a little bit quieter about things.
Ashley got some they locked up.
No, that's awesome, and I really hope that she produces them. There's something missing, because there are people that have seen locks before, but then they don't get eggs, and that's extremely frustrating. There's like 2 people that I know that have like produced like true captive bred shovel nose, and I think that's a really worthwhile species, and I think people love that. I think that could have a potential to grow on the captive side. A smaller snake that looks beautiful. That's why I'm doing stuff with night snakes, ringnecks, and stuff like that, just because they're a smaller species. They're easier to care for the average keeper. Yes, I'm still going to do my coach whips and whip snakes, but not everybody can keep a 6-foot snake in like a 8x3x3, or 6x2x2 even,
Yeah.
So trying to, the things that I'm focusing on, I want them to have a space to go and not just sit here,
Yeah.
So
you want to hear
anyway.
my genius idea for tub keepers, for rat keepers,
What's up?
for enrichment? It's those hamster tubes that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
connect and you build like a massive hamster enclosure. You just connect them to all your tubs, and then
Yeah.
like not all of them, but like all of them, and then you open one up and you let a snake go all over the hamster tubes all over the place. I was like, dude, like if I was like, because I want to do a bunch of corn snakes, I'm gonna put a bunch of hamster tubes in the bins, like, or you could just, okay, this one wants out today, or this one's scheduled to go out today. Plug my stupid ass hamster tube contraption in, and there you go crazy. Wouldn't that be awesome?
There's a YouTube video that I remember from like my really starting early days keeping reptiles, and he had like these 2 like, like you have a TV and then there's like a whole like wooden console system for them, but he had like converted one of those with the doors into reptile cages, and he had 2 of those, and he had these big plastic flexible tubes with rope in there so that the lizards, the anoles, could climb on that. And he had like these 2 giant decked out like full consoles in his living room with this giant tube going to the next one. And that was super cool. But that's kind of a weird deep dive that kind of reminded me of that. But
I love stuff like that. Like
anyway, really neat.
No, honestly, like I didn't come up with that stupid hamster tube idea. I saw somebody's post on Facebook. It was like in DIY reptile cages or something like that.
I hate that group.
Somebody actually had where somebody actually had like hamster tubes connected to like a bunch of tubs, and I was like, that's hilarious, and it's probably not a bad idea. So like, I always thought it was funny. Well, there's people that do it with like morning geckos and stuff too, right? Like, there's some funny videos about, or the Ants Canada guy used to do it with all his ants. He'd have like ants going around his fucking god.
His setups are so sick now, though.
Yeah, they're awesome.
So sick.
I would do it with my garter snakes. A garter snake passed over me here in a stupid ass little tube. God.
Wish I had money like that.
Yeah, straight up.
Oh my god, yeah. I think if you move to the Philippines, you'll be fine.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what that guy did. He was from the Philippines. Anyway, that guy's cool. You see that video of his green tree python just swimming because it's got like such a massive water thing? That was cool. That was cool. When we do a chondro episode, I'm gonna have him on.
There you go.
That's the guy I'm gonna have on for chondros. I don't want any of the other guys on. You crazy? God. whichever one is doing them the least, like the majority of them, that's the one I'm gonna have on them. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm gonna cut that part out. I'm gonna cut that part out, I think. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
But Connor, going back to your YouTube, I just want to say it's like
Thanks.
refreshing to hear because like I find a lot of like YouTube care guides are more based towards children, and
Yeah.
I have a 4-year-old, and I love putting those on for her. But I'm like, there's so much that's forgotten, so I like that you're kind of like branching into more adult content.
Thanks.
More,
I really think there's a disconnect. I want more people to get out in natural spaces. I know not everybody can, but like if you just like looked at your weather app, there's like, okay, there's a pressure change coming in. I'm gonna go outside and maybe see a snake or two, or a toad or whatever. There's a big disconnect between like the pet keepers, the breeders, and people that are trying to do what I'm doing, which is kind of like a hybrid of the two, I guess I'd say.
Yeah.
And more people need to kind of have some of those like natural history factors in play when they're asking why their snake isn't eating. Why is my ball python not eating for 6 months?
Yeah.
It's husbandry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No,
Anyway.
that's a good point. Yeah, it's tough too because a lot of that stuff it almost feels like it's written off. You know what I mean? Like especially specific. I mean, you gave one example, which I know doesn't really pertain to the way we keep, but like with ball pythons, like people talk about how it's normal for their snake to go off food for 4 to 6 months, and a lot of people I've seen recently kind of push back on that and go, actually, no, it's not. It's unusual, and there's a little bit of back and forth with that these days, where it's like, is it natural? Is it not? Is it
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like with the colubrids we keep, yeah, like it's husbandry, and then I think for me personally, like I've kept only a handful of ball pythons, like maybe 3 or 4. I have one right now, and it's my fiance's. Yeah, I say that, but I care for it. I've never had a ball python go off food, like ever. And maybe I'm just lucky because I've only kept 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
But like, I've never had it happen. So when I hear like about people's, especially male, and I get the male part of it as especially like kind of what you were saying earlier with the lyre. I think it was the lyre snakes we were talking
Yeah.
about, right?
Yep.
Garter snakes. I've had male garter snakes go off food, and it's because they're, they want to.
Like, one thing on the mind, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so. Yeah. It's,
So that makes me feel like it's something more towards like temperature, because like my males won't eat when they want to breed and they're cold, but once I warm them up and they lock up, they're still pounding food.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, brother. Oh,
I don't know. There's also, I mean, the lyre snakes in the wild tend to prefer lizard prey versus rodent prey,
Yep.
So there's also some of that factor in there too, I guess, for me.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Most times they get out of brumation and they'll take whatever,
Yeah.
But there's not like a set, like, to get a male to feed, you have to put it with a female. There's not like a set way,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You know what?
Everybody's
also
different, I
find
guess. So.
with subjects like that too is it's important for everybody, including us, to remember that none of these questions, like where it's like, oh, well, okay, is it husbandry or is it because the time of year? You know what I mean? For just as an example, it's not that black and white. There's a lot of gray areas and there's a lot of nuance. I don't think nuance is the right word. There's a lot of things that go into like animal behavior, and I think in the reptile hobby, in every hobby ever, a lot of people assume that things are black and white, like it's either this
Right.
or it's this. It's never one or the other, right? It's almost always somewhere in between, and I think that's fascinating with every aspect of how we keep stuff. And I think people forget as well. Each animal is different.
I was just gonna say that they're each
Animals,
individuals,
like,
right?
they're all individuals, and maybe it's not to the same extent that humans are individuals, okay? But like animals are gonna prefer one thing or another, like it.
Right.
And that became really obvious when I started breeding garter snakes, because it was like, I have animals that will only eat a certain way, or will prefer to eat a certain way, and others that would prefer to eat this way and prefer to be offered food this way. Like, and I've got 10 different ways I got to feed a fucking litter of garter snakes because they all prefer something different on a bad year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just, I don't know where the hell I'm going with this. Point being is like none of what we do in herpetoculture or reptile keeping is like black and white, except when it comes to like neglect and stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's
for
a
sure.
black and white
Yeah.
there, and obviously nobody should be neglecting animals. But in
I definitely
general,
say one of the
behavior.
more dangerous things with herpeticulture is the either the self-proclaimed folks, or the more than that, just the people that regurgitate, copy and paste information, and they don't find out for themselves. We're kicking a dead horse here, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
figure shit
100%.
out for yourself, sometimes. So.
Well, and that's one of those things why I bring up things like one of the first questions I asked you is, do you experiment a lot? Because I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Is taking the time to, especially if you're working with a species that kind of isn't really worked with that much.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so two people have bred this species specifically, or two people have ever bred a X species, right? You think those two people have every fucking answer? Like,
Right.
come on. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So it's good to get out there and look at, their natural,
For sure.
try to study their natural, history and environments and whatever, and go from there and see if you can come up with stuff. Like, I might have mentioned it earlier, or maybe I just glanced by it, or maybe I didn't mention it at all, but I think that ventilation, I mentioned it in other episodes for sure, ventilation, I keep harping on ventilation, ventilation, ventilation. At least for the animals that I keep, like the Nerodia and the garter snakes, I think that ventilation is way more important than people give it credit for, to an extent that if I was to write a care sheet, I would put ventilation up there with temperature and humidity.
Oh, for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that you can't see stagnant air, and there's no studies for captive reptiles that I know of that go into like its effects on captive animals. And you got to think, like, we're keeping animals in boxes, right? So like, it's not the same as an animal that's, you know, in the wild, or even in a zoological enclosure, for example, something that's fucking ridiculously huge that like basically no matter what's gonna have ventilation. So when I was talking to you earlier, Connor, about like doing a water feature in a water snake enclosure, for example, or an anaconda enclosure, even, right? I think it's possible if you factor in things that we don't think about, like ventilation.
Yeah.
And obviously your filtration's the obvious one, right? But there's more than just filtration.
For sure.
If your
You
animal's
need-
in clean water and can't dry out, it's still getting issues. Well, what's the next way down? I don't know. It's just a thought that I've been having over the last maybe 9 months now. I would say
Yeah.
maybe a little longer, and I think I'm onto something, but still experimenting. Ashley Dazan does a ton of computer fans on all her enclosures.
Yeah.
And when she does tropical species, she doesn't have any issues. With water features and lots of plants and very humid enclosures. Something that if you were to put one of my water snakes in without a fan, it would die, right? Like it would get water blisters in a couple days, or a week, and then all of a sudden you've got issues. But yeah, I don't know. You think ventilation's important, Connor?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, people ask about coach whips, and putting them in a rack versus an enclosure, and I'm always like, you got to treat them like a lizard.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
say that. I like that way of thinking.
yeah, lighting, ventilation, tight crevice hides, stuff like that. I've kept some in tubs, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this as well. There's always that one snake that's going to just rub until it rubs its nose off, basically, and it's
Yeah.
never nice. I mean, it's always a bummer to see that, So
Yeah, it sucks. My pine snake's ready for an enclosure upgrade. Now he's I can't remember what the enclosure size is, but I actually, to be honest, I think it's because he just shed, so he was rubbing his nose. But
Yeah.
like, I noticed, just because I have a Kentucky Northern, I noticed just the little tip of his nose was just a little red, and I kind of like it like broke my heart. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh no, dude, it's time to go up to something bigger. But I'm pretty sure it was. I'm still going bigger, but I'm pretty sure it was because he was shedding and rubbing his nose on stuff. But yeah, I don't know. So, Connor, you got any? You got a nice. You say your collection's pretty small, but it's bigger than most people's, and it's got a lot of diversity in it.
Yep.
So, do you gotta be a guy who has like projects on the horizon that you're like itching to get into? Can you delve into any of those or tell us about any?
Yeah. So just as far as the collection, I'm about 40 and change snakes here. A handful of lizards there. As far as things that are in the collection already that I am just either raising something up or waiting for someone to send me a mate for, the projects that I have in mind or continued projects, the Sonoran lyre snakes and California lyre snakes, great snakes. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to, continue that. My female California is pretty young. She was a last year's hatchling that somebody collected for me. So a couple years out on that. Baja blue rock lizards, the Petrosaurus thalassatus, or however you pronounce that. I've got those. Those are great. I'd like to produce my striped racers, the Mascophis lateralis. They're a cool species out of California. Got two females. I'm waiting on a male from it'll be the locality matched valley that these females are collected from, which is super cool to me. But obviously, I can't be that precise whenever I send animals out to folks, just for collection stuff like that. Eastern tiger snakes are on the horizon there. The telescopus semiannulata. And then recently I brought in some neotropical coach whips, the Mascophis mentavarius. Usually they come in as mislabeled imports out of northern South America. So I'm excited to have a pair here due to a good friend that was kind of holding out on me and picked up some individuals and pieced together a pair. Outside of that, I'm really focusing on more, I guess, Texas alligator lizards as well. The Garanotis infernalis. I love those guys. They're awesome. But I've got a lot of lone individuals here that I'd like to find mates for before I really consider bringing in a separate species that I've got to, you know, either rework or, change my parameters on some things here for them. So that's the main focus here, just piecing together pairs. I've got an individual Ruthven's whip snake I'd like to get paired up. Um, a handful of other things, that are just escaping me right now.
Yeah.
How it goes. But as far as like dream species or things that I could see adding in the next couple of years, Baja rat snakes, the
Ooh.
Bogertophus rosalie. I'd like to add some green rat snakes here. There's a couple subspecies here in the U.S. There's the Arizona green rat snake, and then there's some stuff that came in like the 70s and 80s that some old school guys are still keeping. That's you know out of South America or Mexico that's been bred multi generations, and people are just kind of okay with it, like the bearded dragons. So
Yeah.
there's a couple more niche stuff that I'm considering, bringing in on that front there. Um, but yeah, no, I'm really happy with what I've got and where I'm at. I just want to focus on, you know, dialing things in a little bit more here and seeing a little bit more production from what I've got. You know, I think that's more important than, bringing in newer things, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I think that's a good roadmap to have for yourself.
yeah,
It's responsible.
for sure. Not that I want to.
Uh,
I don't want to breed every species that I've got here. I just do think it's important the stuff that I do have pairs of that are wild collected animals. It's kind of more a responsibility to breed them, and maybe I breed 1 year and see who those animals go to, how those animals are treated, and if it's worth multi multiple years of producing these species. Then maybe I'll do that. But a lot of these animals aren't for everybody. Not trying to gatekeep, but
no.
kind of got to
No.
think about
No,
things a little differently. So if these particularly the neotropical coach whips, they get big, heavy bodied. They can get like, 7 or 8 foot there. On some records they're incredible snakes, but it's hard for people to house that and do it the way that I think they should, so
I find that's
we'll
the
see.
hardest part about the whole thing is like finding good homes for your animals to go to because you obviously want to put them into the best situation that you can,
Right.
but it's very hard to vet everybody.
For sure. Yeah, man. So it's
Yeah.
kind of something I'm gonna have to figure out. But the animals that I am looking forward to breeding, I guess, in the nearer future, I've got a decent wait list of, respectable candidates. They aren't just like sending me like how much, or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Let me ask my wife.
yeah, that shit. Yeah.
The classic. Yeah, that's funny. I have a little update. Just that reminded me. I meant to say to the beginning of the episode, but I forgot because I'm an idiot. My pregnant melanistic garter snake, eastern garter snake, has gone off food. Which doesn't necessarily mean she's ready to go, but it means we're closer than we were yesterday. So that's
Nice.
nice. But it's funny because she's very interested in food. Like she looks like she's like, I'm gonna take it, and then she's
Yeah.
as soon as she goes up to, she's like, nah, and she'll turn away. And but I'm excited for that because that'll be that's a brand new bloodline. Those melanistics, like they're both wild caught, the male and the female. So no idea what's gonna come out of that. We'll see. Hopefully something awesome because I don't know what the hell melanistic Eastern garters are going for in the United States right now, but people are charging like 600 Canadian for melanistic Eastern garters in Canada right now.
Okay.
That is fucking insane. Like, no goddamn way am I gonna sell them for that much. Like, that is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So I'm excited to have some more of those guys because I think the melanistics. I want to bring up something random here about your racers and your coach whip stuff like that. Have you successfully produced any of either of those two types of snakes, racers or coach whips?
I've gotten really close.
Okay.
I haven't yet. A lot of the issues that I'm experiencing, like I said, I've got 2 female strap racers here. A lot of the kind of Western states have uh, laws about how many you're allowed to collect, whether they're able to be commercially sold or whatnot, or just legally gifted. And so a lot of my stuff that I have here are legal gifts from friends, but they're only allowed to collect like 1 or 2 a year. So whenever I'm trying to get pairs of things, it makes things a little bit difficult to do things the legal way, which I, always try to strive and do, here. Anyway, so as I'm assembling more pairs of things, I'm hoping that production will come from that. I've got a couple animals that I've successfully cycled and haven't had any issues with that. And just waiting on mates or female or males or females, to either get offered to me or me to go collect myself. But they're either a plane ride or 8 hours driving, from me. So
Yeah,
still,
yeah, for sure. The only reason I ask is because I know people. Well, I don't know, but I've heard that the people who have successfully produced those snakes, coach whips or racers, in some cases have a lot of hard time getting them eating when they're babies. And I always
They're-
wondered if, and not every species, right? Like just
right?
I can't give specifics. I just don't know enough to give you
Yeah, yeah.
specifics. I've just heard for certain coach whips and maybe racers, maybe not, that some of the the neonates are hard to get eating. And I always wondered if that was because they ate a lot of caterpillars, if that like makes sense. So I'm always like,
So
fuck, man, I want to hear these people try caterpillars. I've never heard of anybody trying it.
yeah, so they are definitely visual hunters. They get those big kind of raptor-like eyes, and they're always on it.
Yeah.
Looking around, periscoping through fields and stuff, all that. I will say, racers, your colubrid, not your coach whips, your mass scope is there, but
Yeah.
your colubrid seem to readily feed on like more inverts out of the egg. I will say the commercially available crickets do not seem to be as well digested. I had a group of Eastern yellow belly racers that I was taking care of for a bit before I sent them off to a buddy in Europe that we just kind of trade stuff back and forth. But anyway, no, I lost two of the group, and they just really weren't holding weight, and they were captive hatch, so no parasites that I'd be aware of, there. But I started looking at their poops, and kind of looking at it there, and kind of figuring out like, hey, are they actually getting nutrients from this, Um, so it seems that out of the egg, it's easier just to start them on tails. Um, you get something in their mouth, they generally will suck it down pretty quick, just like anything else. If you're assist feeding, transitioning to pinkies and fuzzies and stuff can be a little bit more difficult. But if they don't take to like tease feeding from tweezers, um, it's kind of weird. I don't know the science behind it, but a couple buddies have messaged me saying, "Oh, this works great for a variety of species." But I put a video out recently talking about this buttermilk racer that I'm kind of taking care of for a buddy right now. And I just I grabbed the snake, I grabbed the pinky in my hand, and I just kind of like I call it like tap feed or tap annoy or whatever. But you just kind of like lightly bump it on the nose of the snake there, and eventually it gets annoyed, opens up its mouth, grabs the pinky, and then you just dangle it upside down, and for whatever reason it has difficulty spitting that out, and so the only thing they can do is just suck it down. So it's a little bit more time intensive. You can sit there with one snake for maybe 15-20 minutes. On my scale of things, I'm working with maybe like 3 or 4 hatchlings at a time, but I could see like a clutch of like 10 or 15, that being more time intensive and stuff, especially Ryu. She's really been the one,
Yeah.
Blackstone Exotics, producing Western coach whips the last couple of years. I had an albino Western coach whip that she's got now.
Oh, that's where that went?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's got it. I've got some hets from that pairing there. But yeah, that's just kind of how I've kind of transitioned from doing more of that cricket or invert feeding to more of this now. Because in the wild, they're going to be sucking down a million grasshoppers or beetles or whatnot, especially buttermilk racers in that kind of central East Texas habitat down there in the Houston area. I don't know, or they're eating frogs or whatever, but they're basically eating like every day as much as they can, and then they go sit on a rock and bask and hang out, But that's what works for me on the captive side. It's not particularly difficult. It's just time intensive.
Yeah, of course, of course. Oh, I don't think I could do it, my friend. I have enough
Well,
of pain in the ass doing the garters and the waters. I heard blackneck garters. I've never worked with blackneck garters. I heard they're a pain in the ass to get started when they're babies. They're like fish, so whatever. Tadpoles are like whatever, a little better, but whatever. And I always wondered for them. I think it was the tropical blacknecks that people have
yeah,
a real hard time with. I can't remember, but I always wondered like give them some fucking hornworms or something, see what happens, or some waxworms or something. Just try it, right? Like,
maybe.
you never know.
Yeah.
Like, especially being from over there, like, fuck knows what those things are eating. And I asked that because, there's a garter. Big, large collections of garter snake people. And I remember asking that, like, well, have any of you guys ever tried caterpillars? And nobody had ever tried caterpillars. And I know that a lot of people with colubrids write off inverts, right? Unless you're keeping like rough greens and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people will write off inverts, and it's like, yeah, but like some of those inverts are soft-bodied, right? Like, who's to say that a little black-neck garter snake's not going to take a caterpillar, or a little buttermilk racer's not going to take a caterpillar? You know what I mean?
Maybe. I keep rough greens as well, and they don't really show any. At least in my experience, they don't show any interest in the hornworms or even
That's nice.
waxworms from like a little elevated cup.
Okay.
Flying things like dragonflies, spiders, obviously crickets and grasshoppers. They tend to freak out about. But I don't know. Maybe it could work for the garters, but I just don't think there's enough motion or movement there. Like you chop up an
Yeah, I
earthworm,
don't know.
and that earthworm is like tweaking out, having a
Yeah.
terrible time, and
Yeah.
that really gets that kind of like, oh, this thing's alive. I could see a hornworm just kind of hanging out and being a fat bump on a log.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Like maybe a month ago, I bought like a dozen fucking massive hornworms. Like they were huge. They're like some of the biggest hornworms I ever seen. We were at an Italian restaurant, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just leave them, in the car or whatever." And they were fine. We went out. We were with my grandparents. My grandfather is like, he's the type of guy who just like, if it's alive and slimy or scaly, he wants nothing to do with it at all.
Okay.
And so naturally, I took one of the hornworms out and I threw it at him. And I was like 20 feet away, maybe not that far, like 15 feet away, and the hornworm caught his shirt and stuck
Oh,
to
wow.
him.
Yeah.
And it was perfect because he was doing one of these, right? Like trying to get the hornworm and panicking, and the hornworm was on his back, and I just grabbed it. I had drank a little bit when I threw the hornworm. I'm a believer of like even treating the little guys with respect. But I will admit I threw the hornworm.
Yeah.
I did do this atrocious action. But it caught itself, and I put it back, and then I fed it to a frog. So really, what's the fucking crime? You know what I mean? Like, which one's the worst part? A frog ate it. Or if it wasn't the frog, it was the tokay geckos, which is way fucking worse.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's just a little hornworm. It's my only one of 2 hornworm stories. The other one is a coworker of mine who talked him into eating a hornworm, and he threw up.
Ooh. That's tough.
That's it. Those are my only hornworm stories. Poor Brennick. Brennick, that was Rob.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was Rob. We made Rob eat a hornworm.
Poor Rob.
Yeah, Rob's great. Well, Connor, I guess we'll start to peter out here. So why don't you just let us know where people who are listening, if they want to find you, including like your socials or whatever you want to give out, plus your YouTube and stuff, where they can find you.
Yeah, man. So Instagram, you can find me at Naturalist Herps, all one word, just like the little tagline down there. Facebook, Connor Wardle. I had everybody's got a hacked account, or maybe not, but there was a previous hacked account. So the one that doesn't have, that actually has a real photo of me, that's great. That's my Instagram there. YouTube, Connor Wardle as well. There's a photo of me with a lesser mustache and worse beard, which is already kind of tough right now, but with a coach whip on my head, and that's cool.
To me. Your beard looks fucking awesome compared to mine. Mine's so light.
Thank you. But that's that. I guess for socials there. I don't bite. Reach out. If you have questions, whatever clarification you need, I'm here to help out as best I can. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome, Brennick. Anything you have to add?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm gonna say it again, even though I maybe shouldn't. We're supposed to be doing a live episode of the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo. As far as I know, it's happening. I just haven't gotten any details yet. So we should be doing a live episode at Canada's largest reptile expo. We're excited for that. If it doesn't work out, we're going to be pissed. But as far as we know, it's going to work out. So stay tuned for that. I'll give out dates when I know when the expo even fucking is. I don't even know when it is. I know that I'm off that week. That's all that matters. So stay tuned for information about that. And aside from that, check out Connor's stuff. Connor, thanks for coming on, dude. We really appreciate you filling in the last minute.
Thanks for having me.
That was very nice of you to do for us, especially so last minute. Like, what was it? Like, only, 4 or 5 hours before the episode you messaged me or something like that?
Yeah. No, I had some, life, weird stuff, but we're here, and it was fun.
We
appreciate
it.
Yeah, man.
So hope everything's good with you, man. And, yeah, stay in touch. Because we'd love
Will
to have
do.
you back on. There's clearly many more species we have to talk about. So, that's it.
For sure.
All right. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody, for watching. Please check out our Patreon and all that stuff. Goodbye. Thank you for tuning in to Creature Crossing. Please check the description for social media links, Patreon, and more. Feel free to subscribe and leave us a review. The song used for our intro and our outro is called The Snake Eater's Palace, Outer Heaven by Audio Mocha, Anime Vivi, and Endless Repeat, which we found at ocremix.org. Thanks again for listening.